What to do this weekend? Where you gonna go? How you gonna do it? Oh, don't you know? Find out what's in store and what's on show on the Sydney weekend. Come on, let's go.
Good day and welcome to the show. A huge night for Sydney Weekender. We've got a double header on tonight. Our Let's Go special, which was on last week, was postponed because of the bushfires. It's now on tonight after the news. It's a great show, so don't miss it at 6:30. As a warm-up, I'm down here at the Sydney Tramway Museum at Loftus. Fantastic place to bring the kids and the family to have a look around, particularly with Christmas coming up. Don't miss it. I'm going to give you a good look around. Meanwhile, don't go away. Here's what's coming up on the rest of the show. Righto, John.
All fares and tickets, please.
The Sydney Tramway Museum is a fantastic place to come because not only have they got enormous amount of trams on display there from all around the world, but they do still have some working trams like this one. This is an R-Class tram that used to run the Watson's Bay line, beautifully restored, and we're actually on the way now. You can do this little trip into the National Park from Loftus.
All fares and tickets, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. There we are.
Now, not only is he selling and collecting the tickets, but his name's Peter Kahn, and Peter's one of the volunteers here that restores the trams, looks after the public when they come. Peter, this is fantastic. I mean, tell me a little bit about this tram.
This is one of the corridor trams. It was one of the first ones built for Sydney in 1933. And they had a few nicknames, of course, even for these. Some people call these the Silvertails tram because when they started running, first of all, they were running on the Watson's Bay line.
Yeah, the Watson's Bay line.
Yes, yes.
A lot of young people in Sydney would have no understanding that this was the mode of transport for many, many, many years in Sydney, wasn't it?
No, that's right.
How many millions used to ride on these?
Oh, about 400 odd million in 1 year in the during the 1940s.
I'll tell you what, mate, she's still a nice ride too.
Yeah, the beautiful camper.
We've reached the end of the line. So that means swapping over the trolley bars.
There we are now.
This is something our driver, John, is very used to. Because after all, he's a trammy from way back. Now, I wanted to ask you, whereabouts did you used to drive the trams in Sydney?
Oh, on the North Sydney lines. We're down Balmoral, the Spit there, Chatswood, Lane Cove.
Any good hills down there? Used to wind her up, mate, or what?
There's pretty good hills there.
What sort of speed would they go flat out?
Well, flat out on the level ground.
Down the hill?
Down the hill there, you get up to 45 mile an hour.
But you weren't allowed to speed?
No.
He's worried about getting busted 40 years down the track for speeding down the Balmoral. There's also a heap of trams on display in the sheds, all beautifully restored. And this tram is the showpiece of the museum, an authentic original Sydney tram built in 1902, 100 years old this year, used to run through the city and more than likely either down Oxford Street or Anzac Parade into the eastern suburbs. But what about this? Most of the trams of those days were open-fronted, fantastic in the middle of summer, but how would you go doing that dog shift in the middle of winter at 10 p.m? No, thank you. Nice, cold and rainy. Next stop, Bondi Beach. The Sydney Tramway Museum is in Loftus, about 40 minutes south of the city. They're open every Wednesday and Sunday, and you can call them on 9542 3646. Every tram down here at the Sydney Tramway Museum has been, or is at the moment, been restored lovingly by volunteers. I don't know how I ended up with some sandpaper and a brush in my hand.
I hope you're doing a good job there, Michael.
Good on you, Brian. How's it?
No, you missed a spot there, mate. Look.
Missed a spot.
Just there.
Sorry, mate. That's the boss checking up on me. Hey, the big fella. Well, I'll tell you what, as you can see, there's plenty happening down here at the Sydney Tramway Museum at Loftus. Plenty happening out and around this weekend as well. He's gone. Good. One of the more bizarre displays they've got out here at the Sydney Tramway Museum at Loftus is this tram, which is called the Prison Tram. And it used to take the prisoners from Darlinghurst Court all the way out to Long Bay Jail. And this is a fantastic story. In 1946, one of our most famous criminals, a bloke called Darcy Dugan, with an accomplice, was actually in this cell here, came across somehow a bread knife, and between Darlinghurst and Longboat, cut their way out through the roof and escaped. Probably at Matraville, where I grew up, which would actually explain a lot of things. I mean, crazy. And don't go away, because after the break, you guys will be eating out. But I want to know where they got the bread knife from. Where did you get the bread knife from? Still at the Sydney Tramway Museum at Loftus, and I couldn't resist another ride on one of these fantastic old Sydney corridor trams. It is a great place to bring the family and kids, particularly over Christmas. They will have an absolute ball. As I mentioned earlier in the show, our Sydney Weekender Let's Go special is on after the news at 6:30. It's a great show, not to be missed. Here's a sneak preview. There it is, a quick look at our special. It is an absolute ripper. Meanwhile, guess what I'm doing? Shooting through like a Bondi tram. I'll see you guys real soon. City Weekender Let's Go special, 6:30 after the news.
What do you call a boomerang that doesn't come back? A stick. A stick.
Where you gonna go?
Have another go. Oh, that's dreadful.
They've got on their books over the Chrissy.
What's on show on a Sydney weekend?